Hey everyone, Mark over here at Twanger's Turntable. I hope you're all doing well. Take two. I actually shot a video already, but I realized my mic had died, I guess, so there was no audio, which for some may appreciate that, but kind of defeats the purpose of doing the video. This one is for our buddy Steve over at All the World's a Stage. If you've not been to his channel, please do so. Go over, check him out, subscribe. All the World's a Stage. I'll put a link below. But that's the reason I'm here today, and I know it's been a while, so bear with me if I'm a little rusty. I haven't done a video in a long time, at least by my typical standards. Well, I don't know. I mean, oftentimes I'll go a week or so without doing one, I guess, but yeah, it's a busy time with the grandkids and everything during the summer and the starting up of business here in a new city last several months, and it's really getting busy, so don't have a lot of time to spare. So I'll try and keep this short. Steve is celebrating 500 subs. I know he's beyond that now. There was never really any doubt. He's one of the go-to channels that I personally watch quite often. I don't always comment, Steve, but I always like. I'm typically watching almost every video you do. I can't say with complete honesty that I do watch everyone, but I try. I get a lot in. I really like the series Steve's got going on with the a run of 5 by an artist, 5 albums, and that's how this came about, or at least was part of the his contest announcement, ranking the run of 5 albums by Zeppelin. So the Hammer of the Gods. That's the topic here. Rank their studio albums. Not including Coda or the box set, just up to In Through the Outdoor. Everything that, Coda was just, outtakes and whatnot, not a studio album. So rank the 8 and then find a way to get to 500 using Zeppelin, something to link Zeppelin to 500. That's the second part. So there is a prize for this. Go and check out Steve's criteria. I won't go through all the criteria, but I will leave a link. So I do know the contest started August 16th and runs through the September 16th with the draw on the 18th, 3 p.m. Chicago time. I did just watch the video prior to starting this so I could have some knowledge of what the hell is going on. So yeah, $25 is the prize US, and then there's an additional question to get the 500, which is another $50. So, and they're not necessarily exclusive of each other, but yeah, check it out. So albums, all of Zeppelin's albums in the UK, every one of them, all went to #1. I mean, and as Steve alluded to, it's hard to argue that the 2 most important bands in rock are the Beatles and the Stones. For me personally, Zeppelin is more important, but hard to argue they are not at least a runaway #3. Some may argue Black Sabbath in that league, but I don't think so. I think it's Zeppelin, and it's hard to argue Zeppelin, Beatles, and the Stones being the top 3 for sure. If Ozzy and Iommi and Ward and Geezer are the grandfathers of metal, I would suggest that John Paul Jones, Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, and Bonham are the grandfathers of hard rock. But again, I wasn't born when this all began. In fact, yes, I was. I was a mere 4 months old when they went into the studio in October of '68 to record their debut, which came out in January '69. So I'm going to start my ranking. But they are a very important band in my life. With older siblings, they've always been a part of my life. From my earliest memories, they were either, somewhere on radio play, or everybody, I'm sure it's safe to say, has heard of Zeppelin. So I won't bore you with any more of that. Some of these albums are going to be more meaningful than they are ranked, as far as I'm trying to rank them. And this ranking actually changed just this week. I made a point to listen to them because I knew I was going to jump on this contest. Totally want to support Steve and his channel. Hoping he sticks around for a while, so go and support him. So yeah, the top 4 or 5 never really changed very much for me, but the top couple of albums did change just this week, and that'll change again next week. Zeppelin is just one of those bands to me. I will go through stretches where I don't really listen to much else, and just go through their whole discography. So no surprise. I think this is a consensus number 8. I do remember my brother bringing this home upon its release and being blown away. But having heard other Zeppelin, it was obviously a departure from their earlier sound. But nonetheless, I love it. There isn't a Zeppelin album I don't like. Love, I guess I could say. Yeah, I do. I love every Zeppelin album. There may be a track here and there that, if on a different format, namely streaming or CD, I may have an impulse to skip, but I usually don't. Even Hot Dog on here, I love this. The song "All of My Love." I'm not going to get into the stories about it, but those who know Zeppelin know the stories behind the songs, and that's just a tugger. That one, it's a really good one. The entire album is good, though it's not there. It may be. It seems to be consensus is it's the least favorite, but it's not the one that has sold the least. That is the next album here, and that is Presence. This is actually their album that has sold the least. And I don't think that's a huge surprise if you know the story of Zeppelin and how this came about, or not so much how it came about, but the conditions around recording this album. And then they didn't follow it up with a tour due to Plant's accident. And then more heartbreak followed not very long after with the death of Robert Plant's son from a virus. Anyway, but yeah, Presence, that would be number 7 for me. Number 6. This is, every album, it's hard for me to rank. I'm having a struggle just presenting them and thinking, this doesn't feel right, but I've got to do it. So in the name of Steve, I'm doing it. Yeah, Zeppelin 3. I absolutely love this album. I know at the time it was, again, perceived as a departure from the first 2, of course, that were so rocking. But hey, it kicks off with Immigrant Song. I don't need to say much more than this. I've watched some videos of others ranking it, and it's all been said. I absolutely love this album. So yeah, ranking any of these lower than 1 for me is a bit of a struggle, because at any given time they could all be number 1. I'm not kidding. And then, of course, this has, for the longest time, been my favorite Zeppelin album. But it's not really fair. It's a double album. There's so many killer tunes on here. In the Light, the Rover, Kashmir, the Wonton Song. There's so many. 10 Years Gone. Wow. Yeah, just Night Flight. Yep. Sick Again. Oh, in fact, I think the first time I heard the Rover, to me, that was like probably one of the heaviest songs, at least the riffs in that song, that I'd ever heard. Possibly. When this came out, I was too young, but to remember it that clearly. But incredible album. So there you go. I'm trying to keep this short. It's hard to do. So where are we at? That was number 5. 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. So number 4, Zeppelin 2. Again, an album that is pretty near and dear. Has a lot of special meaning, this album, to me as well. When I was living out in Alberta, my brother and his wife were we made a trip out to the West Coast, and just great memories with this album. We listened to this almost nonstop all the way there and back. But it's always been, with my buds back in the day, it's always been a highly, highly spun record. It's Zeppelin 2. I don't have to say a whole much more about that. Number 3, their debut. Not a weak track on here, but again, sound like a broken record. No pun intended, but I don't think there's a weak track in any of these. But what a killer debut album! Really, honestly, was there anybody doing what they presented on this record? I don't think so. It's debatable, I suppose, but I don't. You'd be hard pressed to convince me otherwise. And then number 2, a very special album for me, and I'll explain in a second. But yeah, House of the Holy. Just fantastic record. One of the songs that's on here is called Over the Hills and Far Away. And that's, I think by memory, if memory serves me, I could be mistaken. That's a long time ago, but I believe it was a, I'm not much for dances, going to dances, dancing, but that was probably the first song that my wife and I danced to. Was Over the Hills and Far Away. Starts off slow and then it kicks down, and it's just killer album, the whole thing. And of course, my favorite Zeppelin song of all time, No Quarter, is on here. Pretty good cover by Tool, if I do say so, of that song. Quite a departure from the Zeppelin sound, but if there's any drummer out there that to me has that same heavy, consistent, precise groove that Bonham had, it's Danny Carey of Tool. But anyway, so that's number 2. How's the Holy? And number 1. This just flip flopped around this week listening to these, but it's the go-to. It always has been for, I would suggest most metal fans or hard rock, at some juncture, at least back in the 80s, before the new wave of British heavy metal, or during even, you would see this as in somebody's collection, I'm sure. But yeah, Zeppelin 4. I mean, what can you say? Every song on here is good. I mean, so. And it was also played a lot at junior high dances and whatnot when I was, going up through junior high. And my buddy had a DJ band where I'd help him out with. And Stairway to Heaven was always the closing track at the dance. And of course, there'd always be a way to find out how to play rock and roll and Black Dog and Missy Mountain Hop. I mean, even Four Sticks, killer. It's all Battle of Evermore. I mean, come on, really. So anyway, that's it. That's my ranking. So the other part of this is use something Zeppelin to get the 500. Now, just an honorable mention too is their other releases. Of course, the 1990 box set and Coda are also amazing. I've got another box set on CD and How the West Was Won, all that. They're amazing too. So if you've not, for some reason, checked out Zeppelin's catalog, man, oh man, I think it's a must for rock fans for sure. So to get to 500, I'm going to go with literature. And there's a book by Jimmy Page, about Jimmy Page. If you've not seen it, it's Jimmy Page, by Jimmy Page. And it's basically an illustration book with notes in it. And I really like this photo. It's the first photo taking of the band, and it was used as a promotional shot. The first promotional shot taken of the band. And some of the photos in here are the same as what ended up on the back cover of during this session here of Zeppelin 1. But this book is all about Jimmy Page. And this book, I'll open up to the back page where you can see is, I hope you can see, I'm going to try and bring it in there. Bring it on home. It is 512 pages. This book is 512 pages. So 512. How do I get the 500 from there? Well, pretty simple for me. On September 25th, 1980, when Bonham died, I was 12 years old. So you take 12 away from 512, and it rounds out nicely to 500. That's it. That's all. Not sure if that's what, Steve, you were looking for, but that's my entry. And most importantly, just to support your channel, bud. I really appreciate you doing what you do. You make it look easy. It's certainly not easy for me, but I enjoy it nonetheless. That's going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Cheers again. Hope you enjoy your weekend. I hope I get a chance to post a few more videos here and catch up on some content to post. But if I don't, I'm still there watching, commenting, sometimes liking for sure. I hope you'll do the same. And we'll see you again next time here at Twanger's Turntable. Take care, everybody. Cheers.